What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another issue of Hops Geek News, a podcast where we talk about comic books, movies, TV shows. We drink a lot of good beer. We make a lot of good fuck ups. Nobody's perfect. Even Jesus made mistakes. But that's why we're all here. We're here to just chat about all the things that our significant others are tired of hearing us about. So if you found us, awesome. If you would like, find us on Twitter at Geek Hops and at Instagram at Hops Geek News. And new episodes every Monday. We got a little special things coming down the pipe, so be on the lookout for that. With that said, I am Mash alongside the Hoppy Mommy. How are you this fine, lovely evening?
I am fabulous. It is Friday evening while we're recording the news, so I have no children and I'm drinking, and I mean, that's about as good as you can get during a
Yo,
pandemic, I'd say.
I got a babysitter for the first time in like 2 years. The first time since I moved
It's
to
magical.
Idaho, we got a babysitter tomorrow night. So Woodland Empire, as of an hour and a half ago, released their Ada County Stout that they talked about on that episode with us. And so we're going to Woodland for a stop tomorrow. I'm going to meet up with one of our family members, Matt Whitwer, and getting some of that Ada County Stout. It's got maple syrup in it. Oh God, oh, just nut right away. But
I feel like any beer with county stout in it ends up being fantastic.
oh
I don't know
yeah,
why, but it does.
I'm gonna get you guys. I'm gonna get you some. Gonna pick up some of that, and so we're gonna hit that up. Maybe Barbarian as well, because Woodland, Barbarian, they're all like right next to each other. So we got a babysitter. We're gonna take advantage of it. We're gonna go to a couple cool places. That said, speaking of drinking, I am actually sitting in Woodland Empire right now. If you're watching on YouTube, and I'm drinking not Woodland Empire, is Black Bugatti from the Vale. It is a
Ooh,
triple
the veil.
black IPA and it's 11%. It's from the Vale, as I just said. They are from Richmond, Virginia. Really, really good brewery. I drove through Richmond and didn't stop there, and I will always kick myself for this. But it's really dark. Uh, I might not make it through tonight, but it's really really good. A lot of flavor. It
I'll have to
all
take the
eleven
wheel.
percent. It's pretty heavy.
Well, I'm not going that crazy. I have a 7%er here. I'm just drinking a basic IPA. I shouldn't say basic. It's really good and nice and smooth, but it's called Falcon Smash.
Ooh,
So this one's from Micah, who's actually the one who joins us or has been joining
yeah.
us for all these Wolverine episodes. And this has been fantastic. And like I said, with the was it the last episode or the one before that, I was going to start looking into these beers before I came on, so I didn't make any more beer mess ups. So this brewery is from Richmond, Virginia, and it is their house IPA, and it's called Falcon because they have a focus on the Falconer's Flight hop blend. But yes, it says it's very balanced. Hops and yeast character of brighter citrus, orange, pine, marmalade, and stone fruit cohesion,
Ooh.
and it is very smooth and balanced.
So,
I love seeing how a lot of these IPAs have just matured over the years. It's like, you say basic IPA, and it's like it's not basic what a basic IPA was 10 years ago. Like, it's just so much just smoother, and it doesn't just smack you in the face with hops. It's not that
yeah.
there's anything wrong with that, because sometimes I like that.
It is nice, but it is nice that they have gone away from the generic, New England IPA style where you get the citrusy, pineapple flavors. They're experimenting a lot more. And it's kind of great.
Yeah, and this is, I think it's more so like a West Coast kind of, because it does look a little hazy, and it is got that more of a citrus, like a lot of, well, I guess you can get citrus on either coast, but it's almost like a in between. But I would say it's more West Coast than a hazy. But
Yeah.
nowadays, I think anything that's not a hazy is a West Coast.
More or less. They don't do a lot of the hazy New England East Coast kind of IPAs out here. They're a lot lighter. Closest, a lot of the
Or they call them murky.
yeah, Western Collective here in Boise, they do a lot of the hazy kind of. They had a whole hazy series. There's 4 volumes, and they do it.
I love the
I was
hazies.
thinking Falcon Smash would have been because of Falcon, Smash Bros, and Star Fox. I was thinking all that stuff. Even though Falcon is nothing to do with Star Fox, but he is a Smash Bros character that I always played as, and I suck at that game. But that's what I was thinking.
Maybe, who knows?
I don't know.
That's just what I got from the Untapped. I always love hearing the names of how they get some of these things, because some of them are just so like absurd and they're such inside jokes. Or
Yeah,
like Tactical Brewing has a lot of military things, so sometimes I'll Google the names, and like, was it a respiratory pause? I Googled that one, and it's, I'm sure you know what it is. It's when you take a deep breath before you like shoot a gun or
yeah.
something.
So when we shoot, right, you're supposed to exhale, and at the end of your exhales when you pull the trigger.
Yeah,
So that's
that
like your
is what I
pause.
Googled.
And so that's what you're supposed to do. And a little bit of tidbit knowledge there. Speaking of another tidbit knowledge, we kind of have some news to announce. We're not diving into our news yet, but this is just kind of, I'm excited about it. it probably means nothing in the grand scheme of things. However, we are one step closer to getting press passes for when Comic Cons come back. And variant, Jesus, I'm gonna edit that out.
Valiant.
Valiant Comics. They are a big comic. They do Bloodshot. They do a lot of good things. Bloodshot was actually a movie that Vin Diesel starred in. They just kind of put something out today. They were like, hey, if you talk about comic books, do a bunch of reviews, hit us up. We're looking to add you to the press list. And so they'll send us some stuff. We can review it and it'll go out each week. Well, it comes to my email. I'll make sure you get it obviously as well since we're a tandem unit. But we're on the press list for Valiant Comics, which is really cool because they are a really big comic book company out of New York City. And like I said, we're one step closer to press
That is pretty cool.
passes.
I mean, the idea of getting press passes, all I think is, oh, I have more money to spend at MegaCon to buy shit I
Exactly.
don't
I
need
didn't
and
I didn't
pictures of people.
buy to come in here instead.
Right.
But speaking of comic book reviews, we are actually releasing an episode coming up where we are reviewing Invasion of Planet WrestleTopia, which is a comic book that we were asked to do a review on. So be on the lookout for that. And a lot of good things are happening. A lot of good things are coming up. We're on the come up.
Yes, we're all over the place, but we're managing and we're bringing you the best content we can.
We are
Okay.
trying. And with
So,
that said,
in regards to bringing you the best content you can, what did we fuck up on last
ooh.
week?
Well, real quick, hold on. Before we get to the doom and gloom, we're gonna shout out some podcasts real quick because we have some big collabs coming up. And I recently just did one with Soulless Society, and they released that episode where we talk whiskey, discount Valentine's candy. We have
And Tom
tonight
and
after
Jerry.
this. Yes, and Tom and Jerry. Nobody wants to see that. But we have a fantasy friendship podcast. We're going to be talking with Logan from that. We have Watching Comics, Oblivion Bar, and The Unexpected, and then probably For Nerds by Nerds. We're going to talk Godzilla versus Kong with them. So, and of course, Hops Heroes. We're going to talk about the ending of WandaVision. And our next episode is going to be uh, our penultimate, what is our theories about the finale of WandaVision with none other than mystery host from Quips and Dips. So that's kind of what we have coming up. A lot of big things coming up. It's exciting. And yep, that's all I have. With that said, what did we fuck up last
For
week?
me, so, like we said before, this turned into a one-part Wolverine, turned into a three-part Wolverine. So, we filmed the first two in one time. So, by the end of the second one, we were a little buzzed. And when we filmed the third one, we repeated ourselves a few times. So, I'm going to apologize in advance. If you heard this last week, you're going to hear it again. Not the whole thing, just a couple things. But they say that's how you get things in your long-term memory. So, now you'll have things in your memory about Wolverine that you will never forget.
That's true.
I do mention that Wolvie was at a bar when he got jumped for the Weapon X program. He was not. I said he was at a brewery. He was not at a brewery. He was at a bar. I just really love breweries, so I just
Yeah,
end up saying brewery.
Wolverine wouldn't go to a brewery. Yeah, he doesn't picture me as a brewery guy.
Maybe a Canadian brewery.
Yeah,
He'd
maybe.
probably go to one of those that makes lagers, but that's about it. And bottles them,
I don't
doesn't
see
put them
him.
in cans. And later in this episode, I call young Hawkeye a douche. He's not a douche. He's a tool. There's a difference.
Is there a
So I
difference? What's the
apologize in
difference?
advance. I feel like a douche is a bit like egotistical and a little bit misogynistic, whereas a tool is kind of just like almost like a too good of a do-gooder. Because
Mm,
like I'm referring to Old Man Logan, and in Old Man Logan, when Logan goes to the past in the alternate universe, and Hawkeye's helping him. Like he had Old Man Hawkeye, was that's actually kind of cool, and then he has young Hawkeye, and he's like, haven't you had enough beers? Don't we need to move along? Like he's not being a douche, he's being a tool. So I feel like there's a difference.
all right, I can respect
So,
that.
and that's it. If you caught any, if you caught any mess ups, let us know on the Twitter or on the Instagram or in the comments on YouTube. We will fix our mess up. We will research whatever we don't know, and we will toast you on air with a virtual, not a chug, virtual sip.
Cheers! Yeah, we chugged when we did our battle of the wits against Hop Heroes, and by the end of that trivia night, I wasn't gonna make it. I wasn't gonna make it.
Ugh, that was the first time I chugged since like I don't know college. Like
Yeah,
even
we
when I
were.
played beer
Oh,
pong, I just sip quick.
it was awful. Ugh. My editing skills, I fucked up. Kind of. There's a couple of things that I fucked up the last couple of weeks. I can only promise to be
But I think that's
better.
stuff probably only you notice. I don't notice that stuff.
I think I noticed it just because I'm nitpicky, but a couple things I messed up there.
Right.
That said, I'll promise to be better. Can't promise I will be better, but I will try. And
Do or do not. There is no try.
moving into what have we read? What have we watched this week? We'll start with you. What are you diving into?
Other than Supernatural, okay. WandaVision, of course, and I watched Marvel's Behind the Mask. That's a new
Oh, that's
documentary on
out.
Disney Plus. Yeah, it came out February 12th. It's really good. It's like an hour long, maybe an hour and 12 minutes. Highly recommend it. It goes into a lot of the history of the actual characters and the fact that, like, Spider-Man is not Spider-Man, he's Peter Parker. And this is his alter ego. Whereas you look at some characters, you've probably even heard this before. Like Batman is Batman, and like Bruce Wayne's his alter ego, and it kind of shows the difference between, kind of what makes the Marvel character special compared to other characters. And then they go into a lot of like bringing in women and bringing in people of color into the comics and how that went over the decades. And like when they were doing Captain America, and one of the Howling Commandos is black, and we've seen
Yeah.
him in the movie, we've seen him in the comics. The first time they went to make that comic book, it came out like gray, like they couldn't even get the coloring. It's
Oh
just
wow.
so crazy to hear some of this history, literally behind the mask. But they go into the depths of the character and just how the evolution of all of these characters came and how they've always kind of been a step ahead of everything else. And you see it in mutants. Everything in with mutants and the discrimination is related to racism and homophobia and all of that. And so they talk a little bit about it, and it's really cool. I highly recommend it. Quick short documentary. And I
Sweet.
read actually had to reread the first two of these. This is the Spider-Man run. It's only 5 issues by J.J. Abrams and his
Yeah.
son Henry. So they released like the first 2 or 3 back in 2019, and then we didn't get another one for, I don't know, 8 months. So I reread those and then I finished it, and it was pretty cool. It starts off, it's not actually about Spider-Man necessarily. It's about Ben Parker, Spider-Man, and Mary Jane's son.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I picked up
So
that first issue of that.
yeah, it's really good. I can even send you the other ones if you want to finish reading it and you don't want to buy them.
Mm,
But it starts with basically he's fighting a bad guy, and Spider-Man loses his arm. Mary Jane dies, and Ben's like, I don't know, 4 or 5, and like Parker basically, or Peter basically loses it and leaves Ben with Aunt May to raise. And so it's kind of like all of that, and Ben growing up and finding out who he is and this and that. And I don't want to say anything more because I don't want to ruin it. It was really cool to see him kind of growing up and everything. And I had completely forgotten it. I was actually confusing the beginning of it with the comic book Invincible, which we're going to talk about shortly because there's a show coming out.
yes, there
So
is.
because that comic book is actually about a kid whose dad is a superhero. So I was confusing the two. So I'm glad I went back and reread it. But yeah, very good. I know everybody has a lot of shit to talk about J.J. Abrams, but he did not let me down with this book. Maybe because his son was involved. But I mean, it took like over a year for 5 issues to come out. But I'm sure
Yeah.
COVID was part of that, but it also wasn't like
Eh,
consistently
it
released
takes
before
J.J.
COVID.
Abrams. He doesn't know how to end things or continue things anyway. So
How many freaking projects does he have his name on? It's
a
insane.
million, and none of them are. They're all like that. Pretty much sums up my life. Just average. Just
Yeah,
average.
but
I'm just average.
I
So is J.J. Abrams.
that's better than being below average.
He's just also rich, and I'm not.
Yeah, I would say so. I also watched a movie that you convinced me to watch.
Yay!
Lord of the Rings. I finally watched Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Part of the thing that finally pushed me was Supernatural kept doing Lord of the Rings references.
God, so it wasn't even me. You just all right. You know
Well, it
what?
was a
I'm gonna
combination. It was you and my cousin, and the fact that I've been called out more than once on this show for not watching it.
Supernatural did some Inception for Lord of the Rings on you.
Right.
Finally got around to watching it.
I mean, there was a lot of references in Ready Player One and Two as well. I almost feel like I need to go back and read those now so I can better understand those references. But it was funny. I'm like 5-10 minutes in, and there's 4 Marvel villains. I saw Hela, Magneto, Red Skull, and
Yeah,
Ulysses Claw.
literally everybody's in these movies. You have 2 more, and they
It's
only get better.
crazy.
They only get better. The Battle of Helm's
Ugh.
Deep is fucking lit, dude.
Well,
Wicked
then I
good.
just kept waiting for Sean Bean to die. I knew he like, oh look, there's Ned
Come on, don't
Stark.
do that
This
to my
isn't gonna
man.
end
He
well.
kind of no, but Boromir was an asshole, and he was like that's why they didn't give him the ring. He was a man, and he fell to the will of the ring. He knew he messed up, but he died honorably.
I didn't like seeing him not super honorable to begin with. Like as soon as it started, because he looks like Ned Stark in this because of the attire, and as soon as he started to talk, I'm like, oh, this is
Yeah, but this
terrible.
came out before Game of Thrones, so
Yeah, no, I know. I saw the year. But I mean, I enjoyed it more than Harry Potter. Wasn't my favorite, but I will definitely watch the rest. So,
Enjoyed it more than
what
Harry
have
Potter. Oh my god.
what have you? I'm not a Harry Potter fan,
Good
man.
God.
I'll
What is
try.
it that you do here? Lord of the Rings is a struggle. Harry Potter's out. Why are you here?
Marvel. I like Marvel. I love Marvel. Hey, I've grown a lot with Star Wars. If you had met me 10 years ago, you'd have been like, what the? Yeah,
Yeah, I feel you're growing by the day. I'm having a positive
growing by the
influence.
day.
Just
I
real
mean, I got
proud of.
Grogu in the background. I got a Star Wars shirt on.
I'm
I'm
really
growing.
proud of
Yeah,
you.
I am growing
You're
by the
getting
day.
there.
Thank
Proud of
you.
you. What I have read, so I've read a bunch of future states. I'm reading that kind of run by accident, kind of, but at the same time, it's not bad. So I got Dark Detective, my green screen, Dark Detective. That's kind of like basically all I'm gonna say is Bruce Wayne slash Batman is quote unquote dead, but you can't.
The
Yeah, I'll leave that
only
there.
person who stays dead in comics is Ben Parker. Or yeah, it's Uncle Ben.
Hidden, well, Batman's parents also. And then I'm
Oh
reading the
yes.
Batman and Catwoman
No,
run. Oh, what?
that's not necessarily true because sorry, remember
Oh no,
Bruce Wayne's dad came back in that
that's
comic you sent me.
Flashpoint. That is right,
Yes.
Flashpoint. I don't really count that, but okay, if we're counting that, okay, I'll give
Just
it that.
saying,
I'll
we've
give it to you.
never seen Ben Parker, Uncle Ben, do anything but die.
That's true. All right, you get some dubs. I got
Yes. I
Batman,
get my cred
Catwoman.
back.
I don't know why I'm showing these on YouTube. You can't see it.
We'll
Um,
post them on the Instagram
yeah,
and
I'll
the
post
Twitter.
some Batman, Catwoman. It's really good. It takes place in the future. Batman and Catwoman obviously got the bang on, and again, Batman's
Ooh.
dead, and it kind of goes from there. And then I was reading the X Men Legends. The first issue came out, kind of has Cyclops and his brother, and then a character named Adam. That's a really good storyline. The artwork was fantastic. Like Cyclops looks fucking mint in that. And then Star Wars Darth Vader. This is the 10th issue. I love it. What I don't love is that they are making an excuse for that god awful planet Exegol that makes a surprise appearance in uh, the Rise of Skywalker, where Palpatine goes and oh, spoiler alert, Palpatine fucking lives. And God, some who fucking knows how? Nobody knows. Not even Poe knows. He's like Palpatine lives somehow, and that's the whole explanation we get. That's the guy who died at the end of Return of the Jedi, being thrown down. He like cloned himself. He wants to put himself in a Rey's body. It's bullshit. It's all bullshit. The whole trilogy is bullshit. Anyways, they
Nobody
go to
hates Star Wars
Exegol.
movies like Star Wars fans.
Well, maybe they didn't just go back and completely shit all over, six or at the minimum three, the original trilogy, like case closed. Skywalkers, bang, good. If we're going to continue the Skywalkers, there's a whole bunch of lore out there that you just didn't have to just ruin the characters. Oh, pretty lights. Yeah, I get it. Ryan Johnson did some pretty fucking
Don't
pretty lights.
worry. John Favreau is going to save us. Oh,
Jedi.
I actually just finished
The
Last
Last
Jedi.
Jedi. We are
I
we
was
so I have to
watching it
watch
earlier.
that god awful piece of shit movie again. But anyways, my point being, this is Darth Vader's going to Exegol, and that kind of is like the excuse as to why this planet's getting introduced. Vader's a badass. It's kind of going through like the Emperor straight up just trying to kill him in this comic book run. So it's a great comic book run. Highly recommend. WandaVision, which we'll chat a little bit about at the end of this episode. And I watched Willy's
No,
Wonderland. Yeah,
I think
well,
we just end with Old Man Logan.
maybe it is. Okay, we don't. We're not talking WandaVision. I'm sorry. But I will tell you, I
Next week
watched.
we will.
Yes, next week we will. However, Willy's Wonderland with Nicolas Cage, it was the most Nicolas Cage of all Nicolas Cage movies.
Oh,
He
Jesus.
is a drifter. He gets stranded in this town. They say, "Hey, we'll fix your car for you if you go and clean up this broken down knockoff Chuck E. fucking cheese." Well, Nicolas Cage doesn't speak a word this entire movie, and it's so
Where do you
excellent.
find these
It
movies?
is excellent. Oh my god, I'm the king of awful movies, and also it's Nicolas Cage, so it was promoted everywhere. It was
I
on
haven't seen it at
VOD and in
all.
select theaters, so I paid $20 to rent this
Mm.
movie. I paid $20. They got my $20 like I was going to the theater,
I mean, you
and
saved money because you didn't go to the theater.
yeah, we sat and we watched it and drank some wine. It was
That's
such a
my
fun
logic.
experience. It's like a horror movie where these things are murdering people, and Nicolas Cage is doing Nicolas Cage things and taking them out. And oh my god, it is, I can't. It's if you go in expecting a good movie to be like an Oscar worthy horror film, it's like a horror comedy, then you're not gonna like it. But it don't take it seriously. Go in there, just recognize that it's a Nicolas Cage at Nicolas Cage doing crazy shit, and it's a good movie. It works. I love it. I thought it was really great. I would watch it again, and I would give it like a 7.5. So,
I still haven't recovered from that mom and dad movie I watched in
oh,
October
Mom and Dad
with
was
Nicolas
good.
Cage
Yeah,
and
no, that's
Selma
good.
Blair. That
I want to
was
watch Mandy.
terrible.
Mandy's the next one I need to watch by Nicolas Cage that I haven't watched yet. But Mom and Dad, it was decent. The
Mm.
parents go crazy. I thought it was decent.
Yeah, trying to
That's the
murder their
Nicolas.
own children.
Yeah, that's the Nicolas
I will
Cage
say they
movie
did a
right
good
there.
job because you didn't actually see people murdering their kids. So
Yeah, you don't see people
that was good.
murdering their kids, but like the premise is that the parents start to go after their kids. And Nicolas Cage again was
Yeah, they
Nicolas Cage,
only are trying to kill their
but
kids.
it
Yeah, he was
fucking
crazy.
it works, man. It just works. I loved it.
Right. And we are going to do a Nick Cage episode one day. I want
We
to
will.
finish the
We are.
history of cursing. I really liked the first
I got
couple.
halfway through that. Yeah, we will do it. But what we're gonna get to right now is our breaking news. Not so breaking news. You probably heard it by now, but we're gonna talk about some news stories that came out. So we have Supergirl in the DC universe. Sasha Cal has been cast.
It looks like Kaye,
I don't know how to
like
pronounce her last name.
street.
I looked her up. I didn't notice or recognize anything that she was in,
No,
but
it's like
it's
Days of
great.
Our Lives or something, or Young and the
We
Restless.
People are mad. She's this Hispanic actress, and they're like, "Supergirl's not blonde," blah, blah,
Why?
blah. But fucking
Nick
Melissa Benoist.
Fury used to be white. Who gives a shit?
Exactly. People just love to complain, and it's all bullshit, you know. And I think hey, you know what? Take this
As long
character,
as she
do
does
your
a good
thing with
job.
it.
Right.
If you knock it out of the park, awesome, great. I'm here for it. I am so ready. I just hope the DC universe gets on track. Hopefully,
Yeah, we haven't had a Supergirl in the DC movies in
no. Well, there
forever.
was a Supergirl
Not
movie,
since
what, in the
way
'80s?
like decades ago.
That
Was that
movie
the
was so
Supergirl that
bad.
plays Supergirl's mom in the show?
Yeah, that's what it was, and that movie is so bad. Well,
I don't
it's a
think I've
product
ever
of the
seen
'80s.
it.
Don't.
I saw the
It's
Christopher
bad.
Reeves ones, but I think that's about it. That
Yeah,
was a
that was
million years
bad.
ago.
Marwan Kanzari, who played Jafar in Aladdin, the live action, and he was also in The Old Guard. He's been cast as a character in Black Adam. So we're getting some casting announcements for that. This movie has been in the works for like, what, 12 years now? I feel like every other month you got The Rock like, gearing up for Black Adam, brother. And when the hell are we going to film this? Like, just give us Black Adam already. I'm ready for it. I want to see The Rock as Black Adam. But
I feel like we've been
we'll
talking
get to it
Flashpoint
eventually.
for a while
Well, that
too.
too. Flash is another movie that may or may not ever get fucking made. But Tim
Just keep
Burton,
teasing us.
if you love Tim Burton,
Love me some
do you
Tim Burton.
love the Adams Family?
Of course, who doesn't?
Well, Tim Burton has a live action Wednesday Adams coming of age series. It's coming to Netflix. It follows
I hope
Wednesday.
Christina Ricci is in it. Is there any
I
news of
hope
her?
she does. I don't know who's playing it, but it's going to follow Wednesday
Obviously,
as a
she's too old,
student
but
at Nevermore
oh,
Academy. So it's going to kind of her coming of age story because we all asked for that. And it's Tim Burton, so Tim Burton gets weird with it. I think he's going to respect that Christina Ricci. I think she'll be in it in some capacity.
well, he's
And
done movies with her before
oh
too.
yeah, yeah,
Like she
yeah.
was in Sleepy Hollow. So I mean, and
He's
he
worked with
tends
her a
to use
bunch.
the
Yeah.
same people over and over. So yeah. So there's hope that we'll see
So you
her.
can expect Helena Bonham Carter to be in it. Oh wait, they were
Yeah,
married.
right.
They're divorced, right? Did they get divorced? I don't know. They were
I don't
married, I
know.
thought, or something like that. So Johnny Depp will probably get a role in it too because he uses him all the time, and all of his normal people.
Michael Keaton. Should we just name all the
Zack
people he's used multiple
Snyder's.
times?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Michael Keaton. I will get to that in a minute. Actually, no. Speaking of Michael Keaton, we're getting comic runs
Huh?
of Batman '89 in the summer. So
Oh.
we're getting comic runs of Batman '89 and Superman '78. So it's coming out July 27th. You're gonna have Rob Venditti and artist Wilfredo Aurores for Superman, and then Sam Hamm and an artist known as Joe Quinones for Batman. It's going to pick off where each film left off. Batman's going to usher in Selena slash Catwoman and also debut a new Robin. And then they have a vision for like a comic accurate Two Face as well. And then Superman, Lois doesn't know that Clark is Superman yet. And yeah, like I said,
Ugh.
July 27th. It picks up right where the movie's left off. So that's going to be
Well,
exciting.
that's
Like
cool.
they show designs, and the designs look great. They kind of resemble, Reeves and Keaton, and
Mm.
they have like their movie suits, but at the same time, there's
Hmm.
some like tweaks to it. I think the artwork, the
Right.
concept that they showed looks really great. I'm really excited for this, and yeah, look for it in July. It's going to be exciting.
So I have enough
Also,
time. to make my kids watch all the old ones. I watched a Batman
Mhm.
89 recently. They're all on HBO Max for anybody who wants to
Yeah. Oh, HBO
catch up on
Max. You know what
those.
else is coming to HBO Max?
There you go. See, perfect lead in.
Zack Snyder's Justice League, baby. The trailer dropped last weekend. The ride ain't over yet. The ride ain't over yet. My man. I'm so excited. I know that people are gonna hate this movie just because they've already decided in their minds that it's a shitty movie and that's just the way the world works. However, I really hope that it gives a chance to maybe unlock some doors later on. Maybe we get a Man of Steel 2. Maybe we get more Ben Affleck as Batman. All these kind of things cuz the movie that we're going to
I like
see
Man of
that's
Steel too. I don't know about Affleck.
I like Affleck and I think this movie's going to it's a totally different movie than the trash heap that we got in theaters. That this is not the movie that we got in theaters. Dark Side, it looks like Granny Goodness is standing behind Dark Side. Oh my god, Desaad. Oh god, like just the fact that we're getting a live action Dark Side has me so excited because he's one of like my favorite villains of all time. He's such a badass. And then you get Black Suit Superman and and we the tank, Batman tank from The Dark Knight Returns. We're getting that in live action and I'm so excited. I can't wait. I'm going to sit down on the couch for 4 hours, probably take some breaks as you know, as needed. But I'm there. I'm there the day it drops.
I feel like I'm gonna watch it over a few days.
Well, we're gonna talk about it, so you're gonna. I mean, you got to watch it.
Yes, I will watch it as soon as I can. I may have to watch like an hour and then watch a
That's fine.
supernatural
As long as you
episode
watch
and
it,
then
that's
watch
totally
an
fine.
hour.
I'm gonna be there for like I'm gonna watch it probably multiple times just to really because I always like to
I'll
watch
take
things.
notes while I watch, so I don't
Well,
have to watch
see,
it again.
I'm the kind of person like I like to watch the experience, and then I'll go back and I'll watch it again and pick up on things I didn't before.
Oh
Take
yeah,
them.
yeah, I'll do that with like WandaVision. Like I had on WandaVision again the other day, and
Mhm.
my husband's like, "Haven't you seen all these?" I'm like,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
I
but
watch it
it's,
multiple times
it's
because
different."
I like to pick up different things, and yeah,
Right,
so
and you
that's
see, you don't catch the foreshadowing at first unless you're
mm-mm,
psychic.
not at all. And so that's kind of what I plan on doing, and yeah, I'm excited. Godzilla comes out 2 weeks afterwards, which we're gonna hopefully talk about that as well.
Ooh,
So,
I need to watch the other ones
and
too.
then Mortal Kombat's also coming out that time, which that trailer looks fucking
People are freaking
sick.
out about
Are you
that.
kidding me? That's like I played Mortal Kombat growing up on the Nintendo. Oh my god,
I mean, I remember playing at friends' houses, but I was never big into it.
Mortal Kombat is my shit. And the movie I like the first Mortal Kombat from the '90s. The second one, Annihilation, sucked, but this one, like Sub Zero, looks fucking sweet. Oh, you got Sonya
Is this a
Blade.
sequel or is it a
No,
standalone?
this is a rehash. They're
Okay.
rebooting it, and the way they kind of explained it, it's like mystical. The trailer looks sweet. Um, you're gonna get Sonya Jax, like Sub Zero rips Jax arms off. You get like the brutal fatalities, and that looks so good. And oh man, I think I'm probably most hyped for that movie this year. I gotta say, it was Godzilla, so it's like a tie between Godzilla and Mortal Kombat for me.
Mine's still Black Widow for 2 years in a row.
Just give up. That movie at this point, that movie's
Never. I've
probably
been
not going to be
waiting
as
for
good as
Black Widow
oh,
movies since when did what like 2010 that Iron Man 2 came out?
I don't know. But
All right, what
what
else you
else
got?
are we getting? Well, good news for you is we're getting Emma Stone as Cruella Deville. The trailer dropped and it's so bad. Oh my god.
I will say her laugh, she has a good evil
Oh,
laugh. I like the
yeah.
laugh.
But
But
the
other than that,
accent, ooh, the
but see, okay, so
accent.
I'm watching it and I instantly felt like, and I even commented on Twitter, like I feel like I'm watching a DC trailer. And then other
Come
people
on.
were
Why you gotta
comparing it
do
to
come
Harley
on.
Quinn.
Come
I
on.
even
Come
saw
on.
pictures of her dressed as Harley Quinn. So I was definitely not the only one who felt like that.
What do you why? Why would you do this? Why would you don't
I don't know. Ask
disrespect?
whoever made the
Don't
trailers.
disrespect Disney. They're in charge of that. All right. And Cruella Deville, nobody asked for that film. We're getting it.
Glenn Close is the executive producer, and she was actually Cruella in the live action with Jeff Daniels. So there's a fun
Oh,
fact.
it's
I
just
like fun
awful.
facts.
It's gonna be bad. Gonna be bad. And that's all I have to say about that. Some
I
last
bet
bit
it's
of
going to be the
news.
best movie ever.
Marvel Assembled is going to be a documentary of behind the scenes for Marvel TV shows. That begins March 12th. Treehouse Brewing in Massachusetts is going to be a COVID vaccine clinic. So if you're in the New England area, Massachusetts, Treehouse, wicked good beers,
Amazing beer.
and they're going to be a vaccine clinic. So go ahead
Yes.
and be on the lookout for that. It's exciting. It's great to see.
And to jump on the Marvels Assembled, they said they're going to be doing like Matt was saying, the documentary series. And I'm wondering if it's going to be like how they did the Mandalorian one, but they're going to be doing it with more than just WandaVision. Then they're going to do it with Falcon and Winter Soldier. So
Mm,
I'm looking forward to all that, because the behind the scenes for the Mandalorian was actually really cool to see so much of the behind the scenes, how they did, and they interview the directors of each episode, and then you get to see why each episode was done so differently.
right.
I'm wondering if they're going to do that for season 2 as well with COVID and everything. But I mean, if they can pull off WandaVision during a pandemic, they can do that. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
that's true. I mean, they could, and I'm excited. I think it's going to be great. I
Yeah,
haven't
I like
watched
the
any of the
behind the
behind the
scenes
scenes at
stuff.
all. I do too typically. I just haven't watched them. I guess I don't know why.
They're things that I think are fun to like put on while you're doing dishes, or while you're
Yeah,
getting other stuff done. Like, you don't have to be so involved. And like, I like having the music on or their TV on. I don't know, silence. Well, it's
I
never
mean,
silent in my
I don't
house,
like
anyways,
silence.
except right
I
now.
like noise. Well, yeah, it's
Yeah,
you got
my
no.
husband has to take the children elsewhere when we record.
My kids
All
just
right, what else you
go to
got?
bed, or that's all I have. What kind of news do
My
you
kids
have?
don't sleep. So my news, I'm going to start with a little hops news, some beer news. So if you follow any
What?
kind of beer thing, you probably already saw this because everybody and their mom shared it. Egypt uncovered what could be the world's oldest industrial scale
Oh fuck, we
brewery.
forgot to talk about that. That's right. That's the origin story for my comic book now.
There you go.
That
We're
is
talking about it now.
the comic book
So,
that oh, I'm sorry. Like give me a
no, you're
tangent real
fine.
quick. The comic book that I want to write is beer gives certain people superpowers. Like there's an enzyme that breaks down in their bodies that gives them superpowers. The bad guys on the hunt for the ultimate beer that gives you unlimited godlike power so he can take over at least the brewing industry slash world, to be the ultimate. He's like part of big beer and he's like a bad guy. But now that they uncovered a brewery in Egypt, I can go ahead and say like that somehow unlocks this thing that gives everybody the superpowers.
Like
And
apocalypse.
that can also be like he hears of that. Maybe the bad guy thinks that this is the key to unlocking the beer. And oh man, I'm gonna run with that. That's my comic book idea. I need an
You
artist.
got to write it down and don't tell anybody else. That's the first rule when you
I've
have an
already.
idea.
Oh yeah, somebody's gonna fucking steal it because I can't draw for shit and I don't have any artists. Um,
See who they got for the wrestle book that we're going to do later. That
that's
art was
true.
amazing.
That is true. And so yeah, that's where my brain's at. And go ahead, finish it up.
So it's about 500 kilometers from Cairo in
It's
Abydos. I don't know.
Cairo.
Isn't that what I said? Cairo? What
You
did I
said
say?
Caro. I'm
Oh,
saving you
in
from
Cairo.
embarrassment next week on the we fucked up. So
Oh, thank you. Since it's usually such a long segment for me. It was actually found in the early 1900s and then they lost it. And so it was actually just rediscovered. It's believed to be about 5,000 years old. Egypt is hoping this and other recent discoveries will reignite their tourism industry. I think that would be an amazing, cool
wait,
beer
are they
field
having
trip.
a
But
problem
like,
with tourism to the ancient
well, I think everybody
Egyptian
is right now.
pyramids? Okay, well, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Putting a
But
brewery
I
next to the
mean, they need to
pyramids,
get
that's
it. Yeah,
dope.
they totally need to do that. Have a view of this ancient thing. But yeah, I would Google it. It's definitely worth a Google just to see the pictures because I mean, it's just really cool. I mean, obviously, this is a beer podcast, so we're into beer,
Oh
but
yeah.
just the history of beer, there's just so much in depth history of how it saved the world and saved people's lives. And it seems so silly, but just boiling the wort to make the beer was sanitizing the liquid and they didn't realize and it saved lives. I mean,
And now we get
I just love
superpower.
everything about beer. Okay. Umbrella Academy 3 has started filming. I
Oh fuck, I
really
haven't even watched
loved
the second season yet.
season 2 is fantastic. I enjoyed it more than the first one, and it was definitely a cliffhanger at the end. So I am looking forward to that. Wolverine Origins. I know there's a lot of hate for that movie, but with all the X-Men stuff showing up on Disney Plus, Wolverine Origins is actually on Hulu, not Disney Plus. So I'm wondering because Origins, I remember when I saw it in the theater, and I was one of those like I think my daughter was maybe 8 at the time, and I told her, no, you can't see it in theater. It's too much. So I'm wondering if even though it's only PG-13, that Disney decided not to do that because it's a little too much. So maybe Logan and Deadpool will show up on Hulu. I hope.
Maybe.
Crossing my fingers,
No,
saying
I
there's
thought
a
that.
chance.
Yeah, I guess maybe we'll see.
Um, Golden Girls is coming to Disney Plus this summer.
Woo!
Okay, you did The
Oh
Flash.
yeah, I took some of your
HBO
news.
Max. Oh, that's fine. HBO Max is going to be doing a new darker Constantine series with J.J. Abrams. A lot of people are mad because they hate J.J. Abrams.
I hope Matt Ryan at least
I
plays
don't
Constantine.
really. I tried to get more. A lot of people are upset about that too. I tried to get more information on this. It seems very vague right now because it
As
doesn't say
all
it will be
J.J.
animated, but
Abrams
all the
projects are.
ads was animated. So I
Mhm.
don't know what's going on with that. We'll see. But you heard it here,
It's
folks.
all
First,
J.J.
probably not,
Abrams
but maybe.
properties are all half baked ideas. A lot like me, half baked ideas, never finished. I got a future in the biz.
What?
I don't know.
So
I'm
that's about
rambling.
it for our news.
That's
So we are
it.
about ready to go into
We
our
are
main
talking
topic.
Weapon. No, that's Weapon X's last week. Oh my God. We're talking Old Man
Yes,
Logan.
we're
This is the
wrapping
big
it up.
finale to our Wolverine saga.
Yes.
Want to thank Micah for hanging out with us as always.
And for the
And
beer.
yeah, and for the beer. We're both drinking beer, so Micah. And really appreciate you guys. And if you hear anything that we messed up, anything you want added, let us know. But without
And
further ado,
I'm gonna do a quick shout out though because we are ending my all-time favorite character, and we're about to go into the main topic, but then we cut it out there. So before we cut, I would just want to say a quick cheers and a quick shout out to a very special person who will never hear this and will never know we exist.
you never know.
Okay. While these segments have been about the comic book version of Wolvie, today you can see the movie counterparts bleed into the pages and impact each other. So, a quick shout out to Hugh Jackman, the 6'3" man who brought our favorite 5'3" little guy to the big screen. You gave it a hell of a 17 years. It was good, it was bad, it got ugly, then good, and you went out with a bang. May you, as Logan, and your berserker rage rest in peace. Unless you want to join in on the MCU, we're all totally cool with that. So
Come on
cheers
back.
to you, bub, and enjoy
Cheers.
part 3, our final Wolverine episode for this series. Cheers, bub.
This is for you, my buddy Hugh. Now enjoy, Old Man Logan.
Now go fuck yourselves.
And here we are for the epic conclusion of the Wolverine saga. We've last first time we talked about Wolverine, his introduction into the comic book world, and then this last episode we talked about Weapon X. And now we are talking about Old Man Logan, which is a storyline in which he ultimately dies. Well, there's a few different stories, like it's kind of all over the place. But if correct me if I'm wrong, but he ultimately dies in the Old Man's Logan storyline, doesn't he?
Well, Old Man Logan ends into Dead Man Logan, and
That's
so
what it
yeah,
was.
basically the Adam, and you see it in the movie. The adamantium is slowly killing him, and he's like taking this Regenex to try to keep up his healing powers for this last fight. You know, he has to do. He always has to go out swinging,
Of
and of course
course.
that speeds up his death.
Ah,
So a little bit
yes.
spoilers. It's still definitely worth watching the movie. I'm sure everybody's seen it by now, and reading the comics. The comics, yeah, the comics really good. Like originally, this was going to be our favorite Wolverine storylines, and it kind of just morphed into Old Man Logan
It just
because
yeah.
it's an awesome storyline.
Well, there's so much to talk about with Wolverine, so that's why it kind of turned out to be like, I guess we're just gonna kind of go through his like just talk about Wolverine in general, which that works out because there is a lot to talk about. And so we won't dive. We could probably do like 6 or 7 episodes on Wolverine himself.
Right.
And so yeah, we'll kind of start like the comic book. So the actual initial comic book takes place in Earth 80, 71, 28. That's a big number. I don't know how to do numbers.
I didn't even know that, and I've read them.
Yeah, so that's where the initial one kind of goes into. And Micah, what do you got? Take it away. Give us the brief
Yeah.
rundown.
Oh man, Logan. Yeah. So yeah, it takes place in on an alternate Earth, and basically on that Earth, his life kind of panned out the way that the uh, regular Wolverine we see in the 616 did up to a certain point, and the supervillains took over the world, and Mysterio kind of created this illusion to where Logan saw nothing but uh, like villains
Yeah.
attacking the mansion, the X mansion. But in reality, it was his fellow X Men, and he gutted all of them.
That was kind of
Which,
like
Yeah,
yeah, that
yeah,
was
it
kind of a
makes,
badass. It's
yeah. But you think about it, like you know that they were pulling their punches because it was Wolverine, so it was like an extra easy fight. But it was also what I thought was very interesting about Old Man Logan was it was one of the only times I feel like I remember bad guys teaming up. So Red Skull was like, "Hey, if we bad guys team up together, we can take all these good guys down, because I feel like that's the one thing that the good guys always have is they work together. They're able to work together, whereas bad guys are like, I'm in control and you're all my minions, and that always backfires. So
No,
Red Skull was
yeah.
like, well, Mysterio, you are always fighting, Spidey, so you should go fight Wolverine, and then this person should go fight this, and da 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 da. And if anybody who doesn't want to read it but wants to know the background, Rob from Comics Explained breaks it down really well, and he goes through the whole thing too, because it's a really good story. But yeah, if you just don't have time to read it, or you don't want to go buy all the comics or try to find them, definitely check that out. But when they did that and they teamed up together, they were able to kill almost everybody. So
Which
it
is
was a
it's so
great plan
funny, yeah. Like you always see the heroes team up and they beat almost anyone. So it's like, why haven't the villains thought of this? And
because they're
so
all ego. They had to put their
that's
egos
true.
aside.
And the key players too, so pretty much Earth gets divided up into sections, and so Abomination takes over one area, Magneto's got another, Doctor Doom, Red Skull, who names himself president of the United States. Like these are no small players. These are like the baddest of bad guys. And it's like, look what you guys were able to do. Mysterio, why didn't you think of this a long time ago? You could have fucked with Wolverine a long time ago and just solved all of everyone's problems. Instead, they just kind of waited till God knows when. And yeah, Wolverine just slashes everybody. And then that's when he realizes, oh, I killed all of the X-Men. And that's kind of the day that the Wolverine mantle died. That's the day, or well, he tries to
Well,
go
he
and
tried to
kill
kill
himself.
himself.
He
Yeah.
tries to have a train run over his
Yeah.
head to kill himself, which obviously doesn't work. And
Right.
that's the day that Wolverine kind of at that point. That's when Wolverine dies. He goes out to Sacramento, which Hulk took over from Abomination, and has a wife, Maureen, has a couple kids, Scotty and Jade, and they're living in Hulkland at that point. Which again was kind of a good. You thought you get a feel good story out of this. Well, you'd be wrong.
No, you
You
never
would.
get a feel good
The
story with
heroes
Wolvie,
never
unfortunately.
actually get no. Any hero never gets a really happy ending, right?
Yeah,
Mm,
no, I
no,
agree.
Yeah. So he
especially in Marvel.
right, and it's so
Yeah.
crazy because like Hulk at this point, a bunch of his like incestuous kids are out there running around because he just bangs She-Hulk and they have kids, and so it's just all sorts of weird and fucked up. And Wolverine owes rent money to the Hulk, which I thought was kind of hilarious.
Yeah. Where's my
From
rent? Yeah.
from what I understand, I think I like the future imperfect storyline from the Incredible Hulk. I don't think it happened because of the Old Man Logan storyline.
Mm-hmm.
So that was something that died in this timeline or whatever. So he eventually got just was poisoned with gamma radiation over and over and over till he turned into some
Right.
crazy, like wrong turn.
Yeah, that's true.
Dick,
He he definitely did,
Because
and
even when
yeah,
he's Bruce, he's evil. He's
yeah,
not just crazy when he's Hulk. Yeah.
yeah, which you see kind of later on in the comic because so Wolverine owes them money, and so he decides to take a job from Clint Barton, who's blind at this point, and
yeah.
Yeah, I like Old Man Hawkeye. He's way less douchey than regular Hawkeye.
he is like he's just blind, and he's like, I got this job for you, dude, and so they're tasked to go and get like this briefcase, and they head out east. Um, they rescue Ashley Barton along the way from Kingpin, but then she goes ahead and just murders Kingpin, which is kind of funny because everyone's dying in this comic book. Like literally everybody dies in this storyline.
Yeah, but they name so many people. It's real, and I loved seeing a lot of the superheroes' kids. So you'd see all these cameos, and all of a sudden there'd be somebody's random kid. And they also, I like the random obituaries. So and Marvel will tend to do things like that, where they'll have like all of a sudden you'll see like a letter from somebody, and it's not just a comic book page, but they would have obituaries for all these superheroes, and it was kind of cool to see that on random pages.
Right. At one point they're chased by a symbiote dinosaur, which is kind of badass, like a venom
The Venom
dinosaur.
dinosaur. Yeah.
That
We're
was
seeing
kind
a
of
lot of that now in the comics. Venom
yeah.
dragons.
You get
Yeah,
like that's kind
Oh,
of
here
one of
I
those
actually.
interesting things. And then they actually deliver the package. So they get the package, they deliver it, and it turns out to be super serum. And so they're trying to like recreate the Avengers and that kind of stuff. And at that point, they realize that they just delivered it to undercover Shield agents, who pretty much kills everybody. They think they kill Logan, but obviously he heals. He wakes up in Red Skull's trophy room, which Red Skull just has like Captain America's shield. He's wearing the
Oh,
Captain
the Iron
America
Man
like
suit.
mask. He's got the Iron Man suit. So that was kind of crazy. And it was at this point like full on Wolverine comes out, and it's so fucking
Berserker
badass
rage.
because he's basically like, fuck this dude. He beats the shit out of Red Skull, and not only does he beat the shit out of Red Skull, he takes Captain America's shield and he cuts off Red Skull's head. And I was like, God bless. That's what I'm talking about right here.
But
You,
what does
Yeah,
he
for
not do?
any
He doesn't.
he
Yeah.
doesn't pull his claws
yeah,
out. Yeah, you don't
Nah.
actually see him pull his claws out because Wolverine is dead still at this point. Um, and
he's
then
just
to kind
Logan.
of escape, he takes the money, and so he hops in Iron Man's armor. So we get to see Captain America
That's
Wolverine,
awesome.
and then we get to see Iron Man Wolverine, and he basically just blasts his way out of this area, kills everyone, and he flies back home to Sacramento to find out that the Hulk gang murdered his family. And so he goes to Bruce, who he was like, dude, what the fuck? And like Micah, you mentioned, Bruce is the gamma radiation has gotten to him at this point, and he's been poisoned, so he's kind of driven mad. And this is
But
when they what's
he's
up?
like a frail old man though. Like he doesn't look very intimidating until he
No,
basically hulks out.
yeah, and so they fight. You get a Hulk and Wolverine fight, and at this point, Wolverine just gets like Hulk mops the floor with Wolverine, and then he eats him, which
Yeah.
is kind of super bizarre. He straight up eats Wolverine, and then at that point, Wolverine was like, "Man, fuck this." He bursts out of Hulk's stomach, which kills the Hulk, and he just kind of like goes off into the sunset after this. No family, nothing. It's kind of depressing. And this
But he takes
particular
something
one,
with him into the sunset.
what does he take into the sunset with him?
Little
A
Bruce
baby
Banner
Hulk.
Jr. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. And it's funny. I have the Old Man Logan toys. If you can watch on YouTube, I'm just gonna randomly pull up pictures because I have all the comics here. But the toys actually come with a little baby Hulk. He even has a passy in his mouth.
Yeah.
That thing is
So he doesn't
adorable.
have the heart to kill the infant, and he, when he went there to kill Bruce, so he killed everybody. So he ends up going riding into the sunset with this infant.
Yeah. And at that point, he kind of accidentally goes into a different multiverse at that point, right? Like there's another storyline where he just ends up in a different multiverse.
Right, but he thinks he wakes up into the past. I haven't read these in a long time, and I was saying right before we started recording, I definitely want to reread these because there's just so much going on, and it's such a good storyline. And we'll talk about the MCU in a little bit, but I feel like they could intertwine them, or maybe that's just because I
Hmm.
can't let go of Hugh Jackman. But yeah, he wakes up in what he thinks is the past, and then everybody's like, and he wants to kill Mysterio. He wants to prevent what happened in this, or in he thinks he can change the future and basically save his wife and kids. And if anybody's read any Wolverine storybook line, anybody that Wolverine loves is gonna die. I'm sorry, it's gonna happen. At least that's what seems to happen. And Old Man Logan, at least Laura survived, but so that was his ultimate goal. And then he kind of realizes like, this is not my past, this is an alternate timeline. And in this alternate timeline, Wolverine died, but everybody's like, I know you, but you're way older than I know you. And then it's like, well, you're not our Wolverine, kind of thing.
Not my
Yeah. He.
Wolverine.
Yeah. He.
Yeah.
I didn't read too much of Dead Man Logan. I think I have a couple of issues of it, but I just got it for the cover art. But
Well,
they
this is still Old Man Logan. There's what, like 50
uh
something issues of Old Man Logan, and then there's 12 of Dead Man Logan. So the Dead
okay.
Man Logan is when he's focusing on getting the Regenex and finishing this
Yeah.
ultimate fight. Yeah, there's 50 issues of Old Man
I
Logan.
haven't read in a while, but isn't there? I could have sworn, wasn't there one where he pretty much like becomes encased in adamantium and dies?
That's Death of Wolverine.
Yeah,
Death of
that's a
Wolverine.
different
Okay,
one.
that's a Death of
Yeah.
Wolverine. Okay,
It wasn't bad.
my fault.
It was up and down, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
I
So
didn't read
I
that
just
one.
specifically remember um I can't remember when they went to the point where they were in the alternate reality, where he went back in time or whatever that part. I can't remember that in Old Man Logan for some reason. I have to go back and
That's
reread it.
actually right. So I have it's in the second trade back. So because I got him in the trade backs and then I caught up. So I didn't start it when it was live.
But
But yeah, in the second trade back, all of a sudden, because when he ends up going back to the wastelands, back to his timeline, Baby Hulk is older, and he's being raised by somebody. Oh God, who is he being raised by? I want to say Luke Cage and
Yeah,
Jessica
Luke
Jones,
Cage's
maybe.
daughter.
Is
Luke
it Luke
Cage's
Cage's daughter?
daughter.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
she's
she's
raising
Captain
baby
America.
Hulk, but
Yeah.
baby Hulk is a genius and he's super smart, but he's also emotionally not smart. But he like she can't keep up with getting him books. So yeah, it was very interesting to see that. And then he ends up getting kidnapped, and there's all this. There's so much stuff that goes back and forth. And I don't remember exactly, but there was some sort of timeline where like Jean Grey made him think something was happening that wasn't happening. I don't remember exactly. Well, this is a terrible podcast. I should have read all these
Yeah, I'm
before
gonna have
we
to go back and
discussed it.
reread those. But
Well,
so
that's
we kind of
writing.
we
Yeah.
kind of get the old man Logan storyline in
Yes.
Logan, which was released. It was the last movie that Hugh Jackman ever did
In
as Wolverine. It
2017.
was released back
Yes.
in 2017. We get special appearances by
March.
Professor Xavier. There's also a few other mutants that show up in there, which is kind of cool. And at this point, like mutants are on the run. Like there aren't mutants really anymore. And so,
Right. They're not being born naturally anymore. And you see
right.
that and I think in this too, like the mutants, they thought mutants were supposed to be evolutionary and more were going to happen. And then it kind of was like, no, there was just mutants in this like century. And then it kind of just stopped. So that's when they're recreate or trying to clone them.
Yep. And so Logan's living with Professor Xavier, who has like dementia. He's dying more or less. And so his dementia, his episodes are causing a lot of just like
People to
chaos. They're
die.
killing people, and it's pretty sad to see. And man, Patrick Stewart, he played the hell out of that character in that movie. It was awesome,
Yeah.
and so did Hugh Jackman. I mean, Hugh Jackman looks
Yeah.
a little more frail than we're used to seeing him, but that's obviously because he's old. And then that's when he finds and stumbles upon Daphne, who it turns out is like his daughter, and more or less not actually his daughter, but she's a mini
His clone,
Wolverine.
his genetics.
Yeah, and so he's trying to get her to this safe haven for mutants, and they're being chased by everybody. And it's kind of it's a really sad movie. Even at the end, it's just somber the whole time, especially when they go to that house and with the regular family, and then everybody comes
Hmm.
in, the family gets murdered, and it's
Yeah.
just like holy shit, dude. And then you just have Wolverine carrying around Patrick Stewart, who then dies, and you're like, oh fuck, like this isn't
Well,
what we've are used to seeing in a Marvel X-Men type movie.
Well, we're used to seeing Xavier die. He just usually comes back.
Well, yeah, more or less that's true.
But they never explain that one, and I shouldn't go off on a tangent with the movies because the movies are all over the place. But like when he exploded at Jean Grey's house, and then at the end he supposedly comes back and like some comatose guy who's no longer like mentally there, but then the next time we see him,
Surprise, I
he's
moved my
Patrick Stewart again.
mind.
They're like, oh, we changed our mind. We can't recast Patrick Stewart. So
That movie
I don't know
was
how he
bad.
was back into his exploding body, but that's
the
something for
unexplained
another day.
of the
Gotta
Fox
redo.
universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as far as I remember when this commercial came out, the trailer. I remember I was brand new pregnant, and I put on the trailer and just started sobbing. It was terrible. But all the comments were like, "Old man Logan, old man Logan." And then when I finally got around to reading it, I'm like, yeah, he's old, and the adamantium is slowly killing him, and his healing power is much slower. But it's not the same story at all.
No.
So I mean, they're both very much so enjoyed separately, but I guess they really couldn't do the full story because they didn't have the rights to a lot of the
Yeah,
characters that
and
are
I did
they're in
forget
that.
that it's not Patrick Stewart doesn't die in this movie. It's the younger version of Hugh Jackman that they've kind of cloned and had. He kills him, doesn't he? If I remember correctly.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah,
So they're
Wolverine, not the real Wolverine that we love, but Wolverine kills Patrick Stewart, and then that hit hard because those two were just obviously all the times you've had built up of all the movies, and then even in this movie you could see that it's just those two together, and that's all they have is just each other, and he cares so much for Professor Xavier at this point.
Yeah. There was actually at the very end, because he goes full berserker rage and everything, and he had taken a dose of something. So I'm guessing that was, I don't remember if they called it Regenix because I haven't watched the movie in a while, but I'm guessing that was supposed to be like that because they're like, if you take that, that's going to speed up you dying, but it'll give you like a boost of energy, which is what the
Yeah,
Regenix did in the
I don't think they
comics.
Speed up
straight
his
called
healing
it that,
factor.
but yeah,
Yeah.
they he does
Yeah.
take that,
It
and
speeds up the healing factor, but also kills him.
Yeah, it's like it boosts everything, him back to normal. He was able to tap into the berserker rage again and go back and fight all those I mean, that was a cool scene when he was running through the woods and just taking out all of those
Yeah.
Weapon X, it was Essex. They were using Sinister for that part, but taking out all those people. And then when he got to we ended up fighting the the clone, because the thing is about the clone, he talked about it in the movie. They couldn't quite they didn't quite get the healing factor all the way, so they had to give the clone the injections to help him heal because he got tore up when Logan fought him the first time. Logan,
yeah,
At the house.
cut him pretty damn bad. And then of course X-23, well, Laura was in there and was in the movie, and she's only has adamantium on her claws. So the clone guy, he only has adamantium on his claws. So
I don't think I knew that.
because within on the scale of full skeletal structures, what was killing Logan. So they figured that out. Obviously when X-23 was made in the comics, they did not put the adamantium on her bones, just on her claws. So yeah, so they wouldn't get that adamantium poisoning.
But yeah,
So,
Laura is not in. I don't remember her being in the comic at all. So
oh, she's played by
that's
Daphne
not,
Keene. I called her Daphne earlier. Yeah, she's played by Daphne Keene. That's not her move. That's
yeah,
not,
no, that's I know.
yeah.
my bad. But yeah, so he ultimately kills the clone, but then he also gets kind of violently just like impaled by the tree log there, the fallen
Oh
tree,
yeah.
and then that's how he ultimately dies. And it was kind of sad. That's how he went out. And then you got your somber music, and but she's made it to the mutants, and so it was a great adaptation, I felt.
It was well
And
made.
it really was,
Mhm.
and it's sad because we grew up with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, what, since 1999 or 2000? What was
I think
it?
it was
So
2000. I think is when
17
X Men came out.
years playing the same
Yep.
character. That's almost unheard of. You don't see many people
Yeah.
playing the same character for that long. I mean, even Robert Downey Jr., he only played it for 10 years, Iron Man, before he died and was moved on. Because most actors, they want to go do something else.
It was 11 years.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
so this begs the question, nobody seems to know. We kind of tried to answer it last episode, but who could
We
play
were
and
tipsy by
how
then.
how are we going to move? How are we going to fold? Because with WandaVision, spoilers for WandaVision, when we're recording this, we haven't seen episode 8 yet. We're on 8 now, right? Yeah, episode 7 this
Are we?
year, 6 or 7. The last
It was
episode we
6.
saw was Wanda expanded the hex.
It was Halloween.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're recording this portion early, so we haven't seen what happens. But Monica Rambeau, her cells are restructuring themselves, and so I wonder if this is gonna pave, because she's proton in the or photon. I'm sorry.
Photon, yes.
It's early. I haven't had coffee yet.
Spectra,
She's
whatever you want to call
photon
her.
in the comics, and she's obviously going to get powers. So I wonder if the hex, everybody inside that radiation field, cosmic radiation, if this is how they're going to fold mutants into the whole thing. And if so, I wonder who, because Kevin Feige, he said we haven't even thought about who's playing Wolverine. This, damn well that motherfucker's been thinking about it. There's been talks. They have somebody in mind. Who is your ideal
Well,
cast?
one of the Russo brothers did say like Wolverine just got put to rest in 2017. Hugh Jackman did a great job, so we're gonna let him rest for a while. But I still call bullshit, like you were saying.
It's all bullshit because it's 2021 now, so it's been a pretty decent amount of time in movie terms. How many times are we rebooting Batman, for God's sakes? Like, let's be honest with ourselves. Batman's being
that movie came out
rebooted.
March
Spider-Man,
3rd,
how many times are we rebooting Spider-Man? So you're going to tell me that they're not going to take their biggest cash cow, which is Wolverine and the X-Men, and get them kind of included at now that they have them to play with? No way.
But they got to get the casting right. But yeah, I think it came out March 3rd or 2nd, 2017. So we're almost at 4 years. So
yeah, it's
he's
been
well rested.
I
But
think he's well rested.
James
I think we're ready.
Mangold, who did Logan, and I think Ryan Reynolds have tried to get Hugh Jackman to come back, and I think he's dragging his feet because it's a hell of a
Well,
regime
he's
that
like
he
60
does to
years
stay.
old. There's no way that man could
I don't
keep
think
up
he's
his
60,
physical.
is
He's
he?
like 60.
He's 57.
Oh,
Okay.
No,
He might
54. It's
Okay,
54.
my bad, 54. So I mean
Yeah.
he could, but then again, you got to think Marvel, they're going to want to keep that character around for at least 10 years.
oh, absolutely. And
And
they want to
so-
hand it to somebody.
And
And
he-
it's like we're not going to see Ian McKellen, I think, because
No,
he's in his 80s.
Oh God, no.
You're going to I hope they keep
Maybe Fassbender. That would
Yeah,
be
I
cool.
hope they
He's
keep Fassbender.
52.
52. I
Hugh-
was 2 years off.
Yep.
I hope they keep Fassbender.
Very close.
But
Yes,
I don't
I
see
love
Hugh Jackman
Fassbender.
coming back, even though Hugh Jackman did say that if they became part of the MCU, he would love to reprise the role. I don't
Do a
think that's going to
cameo. I'd
happen.
be happy with a cameo.
Or, you know, a multiverse version, maybe.
They're pulling people from the multiverse now. I
So
mean,
maybe he'll
yeah.
come back in some capacity, but the full-time Logan, I don't know. I honestly, I can't think of an actor who I think could play it.
Yeah, and I posted something about Wolverine on our Instagram one day, and more than one person used a hashtag make Wolverine short again, which I thought was hilarious.
Through movie magic,
so
anything is possible.
I do wonder because Hugh Jackman, almost didn't get cast because he's 6'1" or something, and Wolverine's 5'3", but he did an amazing job. And they used to film things low so that he looks shorter, and he always dates women who are tall, so he looks shorter. But then he embraced the role so much that by Old Man Logan, they're like, "Yeah, he's tall. We're not trying to hide it anymore." So you think they'll take that into consideration the next time to try to make him more the little
Right.
guy, because nobody ever calls him a little guy like they do in the movie or in the comics.
I think that
Yeah.
they probably just overlook that and just take the best actor.
Tom
Because-
Holland's also going to play Wolverine because he's playing everybody these days. Nathan Drake, no, I don't think they'll cast I don't think height's going to be a factor because movie magic, you can literally do anything these days. They had Elijah Wood
Yeah,
out
like
there
Captain
looking like a
America.
hobbit. All right. So yeah, you can superimpose people's faces onto things. I can't think of one actor. Everybody says Tom Hardy. Yeah, I guess, but I'm not sold on Tom Hardy being Wolverine. He's already Venom, and if they pull Venom into the universe, which I don't
The
think they
movie
will.
was so cheesy.
I don't like that movie to begin with, but I don't think Tom Hardy is my Wolverine in my head. So
yeah, he's not mine either.
I can't quite think of somebody.
Have you looked at the concept art that people have done of Tom Hardy?
Mm,
I'm not sold. I'm not sold.
It looks.
Then
I
again,
think that
I
he
was
could pull
not
it off.
sold on Ben Affleck as Batman, and he surprised me, and now he's like my
Oh,
favorite.
see, I will say I wasn't sold on Chris Evans as Captain America because he was Torch.
Yeah.
And then obviously that was
Flame on.
incredibly wrong because he is Captain America. So, I mean, the only person in the MCU that I haven't loved the casting is Captain Marvel. She comes off a little bit, I feel like, kind of snooty.
Agree. I didn't personally enjoy Captain Marvel the movie, and I don't really like her character, but I think that's just the way she's portrayed personally.
I think
But
that's how
then
they wrote her.
Yeah, in the comics,
yeah.
though, I don't think she's as
I don't either.
As
I just
snooty.
think that's how she's written. I don't know.
She's kind of like, I'm just as good as the guys type person. Like, so
She's basically
In the
Marvel's
comics.
Superman almost.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's a badass, and I'm all about her being a badass. I just didn't
Which is-
like how she was
but
written.
she's a little snooty. It's like you didn't earn these superpowers. Now what you do with them is worthy, and you're being a good guy. But she's like, yeah, I'm gonna blast you. And I don't know. I like the actress in other things, but I don't love her, and I did not like her Karen haircut in Endgame.
Yeah, I
But
didn't
some
either.
people are saying now that the reason her hair is short, this is the fan theory, is that when Monica Rambeau got cancer, she shaved her head. And so this is her hair growing out. I don't know if that's true. I hope that it is true, because otherwise that ask
I'd
for the
accept
manager
that.
haircut is just garbage.
I'd accept that. We'll see. I guess we'll find out. So Micah says Tom Hardy. Who do you say?
You know who I actually thought would be good but he can't because he just got cast for Eternals, is Rob Stark. I don't know his real name.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, I can't remember his name either. Yeah, I wouldn't mind. Yeah, I wouldn't mind.
guy
it.
playing Black Knight,
I could.
Kid Harrington.
Is he playing
No,
Black
not
Knight? He's
Kid
playing
Har-
somebody
it's not,
in Eternals.
It's not Kid
Oh, Richard
Harington.
Madden.
Yeah, Richard Madden.
Yeah.
I think he looks the part, and I feel like, without the accent, he could be a little more. But I just every time I see Wolverine, I picture Hugh Jackman. I don't know.
I mean, it's hard
I
not
hope
to.
Kevin Feige will prove me wrong. I
Yeah,
trust him.
I trust them in their casting. I personally can't think of anybody, so I'll get back to everyone on that one. However, I guess that kind of wraps up our old man or our Wolverine saga. Is there
Yeah,
anything we missed?
no, I don't think so. But I did want to say my theory with the MCU of how they could bring Hugh Jackman in
Ooh,
is
give it.
kind of what we were talking about, where he wakes up in an alternate universe, which is our universe, and he's Old Man Logan. But Wolverine obviously didn't exist at all here. But he could still, even if it's just a cameo, like I don't know what the hell's going on. Where's Mysterio? And they'll be like, oh, Parker already killed Mysterio. Oh, okay, good, bye.
All right,
I
guys,
don't know. They could
bye.
do something.
No,
Yeah.
I could see him coming back as like a smaller role potentially if they were playing multiverses, and I wouldn't hate that. Just to kind of see him in the MCU to be like, yes, they did it one more time.
Right, or even just like, oh, we do have a Wolverine here, and then that would be who they recast. But maybe Hugh Jackman could have that cameo similar to Old Man Logan, where he's kind of just handing off, the what do you call it, handing the mantle over, whatever.
Yeah, he's
Because it's
passing the mantle on.
right, because he's one of the few characters. I mean, yes, Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man, and yes, we have other characters that we've become so intertwined with the character and the actual actor. But I feel like Hugh Jackman and Wolverine are like you said, he's played him longer than anybody else. I feel like they're the most intertwined actor and fictional character that is out there.
For sure.
So I mean, he needs the proper. I know we got a proper send off in Logan, but
I needs
it's
it.
never enough. I guess it's never enough. And that's all I have to say.
We'll see. Micah, thank you for giving us the rundown. You pretty much just came here and dropped a lot of knowledge over the last couple episodes, and it's always
Absolutely.
a pleasure having you on. We are gonna have you on, obviously, some more into the future, so stay tuned for that. Next episode, we are actually gonna be talking the penultimate episode / going into the finale of WandaVision with our mystery host from Quips and Dips. So be on the lookout for that. And I really appreciate you guys showing up. Hops Geek News. Search us, love us, like us. Micah, do you have anything you'd like to say to the people?
Just say, check me out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It's Tavern Geek. We're going through a structural phase right now. Some cool stuff's about to happen that I've been setting on, which I'm excited about. And my podcast NBA Tavern Talk should be releasing an episode next week where we break down a bunch of different All-Star games. So that'll be a lot of fun.
That's a good episode. Yeah. Hell yeah, I can't wait for that one. I love some NBA and NFL.
Yeah, and if anybody's happens to be listening to this and didn't listen to our last two Wolverine ones, you should go listen to those. And like Micah is way more versed on the comic books than we are, and like I mean, yeah, the info that you went into, and I know the second one we were all a bit tipsy by that point because we recorded two at once.
Yes.
It's good every now and then to do a sober episode, but a lot of great information, a lot of great background stuff. And I feel like everything we said, you can still go back and read these and watch these and enjoy them with a little bit more background info. So
for sure.
Or I'm just biased because I love Wolverine so much.
A little bit A, a little B. Appreciate y'all for listening. We will be back next time. Cheers, my dudes.
Cheers.
Cheers.
This has been a Hops News production. You can find Hops News on all your favorite podcasts and social media platforms at Hops News. Cheers.